Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Amber here with another video, and this time we are talking about new construction. The question to ask is, do I need a realtor for new construction? If I'm building ground up, do I really need the services of a realtor? So let's walk through how having a realtor at your side during the building process is helpful. If you've never built a home before, it can be a little bit of a daunting process. There's lots of steps, there's lots of decisions to be made. And so a realtor can help walk alongside, give you ideas on what's typical, and just to make sure there's no missteps so that dream home that you are building is a dream home and doesn't turn into a nightmare. So let me say the number one reason why I think it's important to have a realtor involved in your process is because of their ability to know the market. So a lot of times when you come to an area like North Texas, if you're not used to this, there's a lot of things you may not know. And so, for example, in a subdivision, there are multiple builders. Back where I'm from originally, Southern California, if there is an area that had new construction, let's say it's Kehovanian, well, then all of the homes in that area were built by Kehovania, and you wouldn't have Kehovanian and Highland homes and Lennar homes all in the same subdivision. So that's something to know. You'll have one subdivision, but many builders. That is very typical here. And each builder has their, I'll put it this way, each builder has their different way of putting projects together. And so a realtor in the area will be able to share that information with you, just so that way you're aware of, number one, of where all the new construction is, because you're not going to always find that on the MLS. A lot of times the builders don't put that information on the MLS. You may find it on different websites like New Home Source and things like that. But a lot of times it can be sometimes difficult to find where all the new communities here are located. And I will tell you in the I will tell you in the North Dallas area, there are tons of different communities and little pockets and things like that. So it's important to know, and a realtor can get you the information you need for the area that you're looking in terms of new construction and what's available to you. So that's the number one reason that I will say that to use a realtor is they can give you insight on the area. So depending on what's important to you, school districts and information that around what's local to the area, what's coming to the area. That's another big thing, because there's so much building happening here. You want to make sure that you're comfortable with not only what's there now, but what it's going to be. And I know in the area that I'm at, there's a ton of development happening around us. And so if you're someone that likes to have more space and be out further, this might not be the space for you. So a realtor is going to know the local area. It's important for you to know that as you're preparing to build your dream home. The number two reason why I think it's important to use a realtor for your new construction purchase is negotiation. If you're somebody like me who I love to negotiate, I know not everybody does. I'm the person that goes into a used car dealer and gets excited about the deal I'm about to make. So if you're not that type of person and you think like, oh, well, it's new construction, here's the price, and I just pay the price, not necessarily the case. And so a realtor can provide you with what options are available to you in terms of negotiating with the builder and what you can ask for. So a lot of times, if you've never built a house before, you may not know the different concessions and incentives and things like that that might be available to you. And so a realtor could talk with you through what might be possible for that community, just so you can get the most out of your investment of your new home. So maybe that's upgrades. Maybe that's a buy down on your interest rate. Maybe that's some additional time to look over the contract. That's another big one, is the contract. The contracts are very different than resale. And just as you could probably expect, those contracts absolutely favor the builder. And so if you're not familiar with that, and what some of those provisions and things like are, you could be left with a pretty I'll put it this way, undelightful surprise. And so part of what the job of a realtor is to go through that, help you go through that contract so you understand all the clauses that you just didn't really need to know about, so you don't go into it unaware. So again, negotiation is number two. And the ability to review the contract and really make sure you understand it, so that you know what it is that you're signing for, and you know what, if any risk you may be up for. For example, In some cases, if the building materials go up and it's above a certain percentage more than what the builder has forecasted, you may be on the hook for that. So there's provisions like that that you want to know about, just so that you can properly plan. So negotiation and review of that contract and making sure you understand it and you have somebody that's kind of advocating for you and your best interests. So that way, if this doesn't just become an emotional thing, you don't get just tied to the property and you forego the ability to really make sure that you know what you're contractually obligating yourself for. That's the job of a realtor. And I think that's an important piece of this process. Third reason why I think it's important to have a realtor involved in your new construction purchase is the home inspection. Now you're probably thinking, what? Home inspection? I'm building from ground up. What needs to be expected? You would be surprised. I've seen some foundations that were not what they should be. I've seen some wiring work that's not what it should be. I've seen some ventilation work that's not what it should be. So these are small things that if you don't know what you're looking for or looking at, it could look like everything is fine. And so don't assume that just because it's a brand new home that everything should be fine. I've witnessed a few things that have gone sideways, and because the buyer did elect to have an inspection, they were able to catch those things and it not become a major issue. And so I highly recommend working with a realtor who can offer you 2 or 3 different inspectors that could come out. A lot of the inspectors that I work with are actually firefighters. So a lot of the things that could be fire hazards, especially here in North Dallas, where we have thunderstorms and lightning often, you just want to make sure that the house is properly put together so that way you can enjoy the lovely rain and not be concerned that your house is going to burn down, right? And so it's important to have an inspection done, no matter, I don't care of the pedigree or the quality of the builder. If you have not seen a house go up here in the North Dallas area, I will tell you these houses go up fast. And sometimes things could get missed, not on purpose. I don't assign any malicious intent. But because these crews are moving extremely fast, they are putting whole neighborhoods together in the span of a few months. You just want to make sure that your home and the property that you're going to live and care for your family and all of that is put together well. So having resources, working with the realtor that can give you a few recommendations for inspectors that can come and inspect the home at various stages of the build is also a really important thing. And it's really good just for peace of mind. So that way at the end of the day, when you walk into that beautiful home, that everything is put together soundly and you can sleep well at night. So that's reason number 3. And now reason number 4. Did I mention that contract? I'm going to mention it again. That's actually number 4. It's important to know that builder contract is, it does, in general, every builder's contract is going to be different, but in general, it does favor the builder. And so what I mentioned about per chance if building fees go up, or there's been instances, haven't seen this as much lately, but when the market was really crazy, where like if the builder had the option to unilaterally just cancel the contract. And so things like that could be heartbreaking, and you think you're moving into this home and then it's, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was part of the clause, but you signed off on it. And so part of our responsibilities, while we're not attorneys and we don't practice law, we want to make sure that you're at least aware of what to check into. So that way, if you're really concerned about certain clauses, that you can connect with an actual attorney that could read through and explain to you, okay, why this could be an issue down the road. In most cases, not a huge deal, but it's just important for you to understand what it is that you're signing for and what the risk is that you might have with new construction. Don't assume that just because you're not dealing with an actual seller and resale on the other side, that there's no legal risk. Those contracts are, like I said, they're how everything is going to be governed. And so you want to make sure that you're keeping mindful of the deadlines. You're wanting to make sure any clauses that could put you on the hook for any overages and things like that when it comes to the build process, because you don't want to get halfway through the build, building fees go up or building costs go up, and now you're on the hook for it. That's an unpleasant surprise. And so really making sure that you're working with a realtor that can help you to understand the contract so you know what it is that you're signing up for. So that is number 4. And the last one to come, number 5, is a seamless process. So part of the responsibility of a realtor in the transaction, of course, you have the builder's agent who represents the builder. And so on that side of the house, they're wanting to make sure that the build goes well. But on the buying side of the house, what we're looking for is to make sure that you're covered, that all the things that you agree to have in the home are actually present. I'll tell you a story. I had a client that was building from ground up, was really excited about the house. They were out of state. And so what I would do is drive by the house, usually once a week or so, and just send photos of what the progress was in the house, walk through the house, send photos. So that way, even though they were out of state, they still got to be part of the buying process. So it was really wonderful to be able to keep them informed on what was going on and all the different stages of the house. Well, one day I went to the house and they were just framing the house. Super excited to see that, because then that's when it becomes real, right? You can actually see the frame and start to see where the rooms and things are. Well, when I walk into the house, I realized that their fireplace is on the wrong side of the living room. And I'm thinking, this is not a good idea, because one of the things that it was a beautiful home. And so when you walked into the home, you have this really grand hallway. And as you look all the way down, you can see the back of the house, and they wanted to be able to see the fireplace. When you come in on a cold night, you see this big, beautiful fireplace as soon as you walk into the house. Well, the way that they had it framed out was the fireplace was going to be the opposite side. So when you walked into the house, you would not see a fireplace, but you would see the door. That's not great feng shui, right? When you see the door and you go out, I'm not a feng shui expert, but I think there's something bad with that. Anyway, so of course, contact my buyers and let them know, hey, I think there's a oopsie here. Let's get in touch with the builder. And so sure enough, we did. And because it was at the framing stage, not a huge deal. They just swapped it. Oh, you want the fireplace over here? Great. We'll just put the fireplace over here, move a window. No big deal. Why? Because we're at the framing stage. Now, if we would have caught that when we were at the buyer being they were out of state, and then they come and fly in and see their home and like, wait a minute, fireplace is on the wrong side. And we're already, let's say, at the drywall stage. Now things become a little bit more complicated, a little bit more costly. And sure enough, it actually on their paperwork, they didn't realize that they had okayed that the fireplace was on that side, which is why the builder did it that way. So it was just an oversight, but I knew what they wanted. And even though the paperwork jived with what the builder did, we realized like that's not what they wanted. And so having someone local that can advocate for you and say, wait a minute, this doesn't look right, is really important. So that's kind of the role of the realtor all along the path. Sometimes there's delays and things like that. And so you have somebody that's advocating for you during the building process so that you don't have to do that. So you can focus on, if you're relocating from out of state, you can focus on making that big move and getting all the things in place so that you can make a smooth move. Or if you're working a lot and you don't have time to drive over to the house every 5 minutes to see what's going on, you have somebody that can do that for you and send the information. So that's a really important piece of just making this an enjoyable process, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to look back at your experience of building your new home and say that you enjoyed it and that you're happy with the final project. And so that's part of the responsibility of the realtor in this situation, is kind of be the eyes and ears for you to help you advocate with your builder, and to make sure that you have an overall great experience as you get ready to step into your home for the first time after you close. So those are the reasons why I think it's a good idea to have a realtor in your new construction process. The other thing too, this is a bonus point, it doesn't cost you anything. It's not like you're paying out of pocket. So the builder will pay for the services that you're receiving. So that's a huge thing. You don't have to worry about how that might impact your bottom line. It's a service that the builder will actually pay and compensate the realtor for you. So really no downside on the buying side in terms of having some representation. And so anytime you make a huge purchase, probably usually purchasing a home is one of the biggest purchases that we make in our lives, that you have somebody that's going to be there to advocate for you. So of course, I would love to be that person for you. If there's anything that I can do to help you as you're thinking about whether you currently live here or you're thinking about relocating to the North Dallas area, I would love to be your guide for that experience and that process. Please reach out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, so that way every time I drop a new video, you'll be able to get in the know on what's happening in North Dallas. I think that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.